This is Kristin.
And I'm Steve, and you're listening to another episode of Cycling Together, a show all about things bikes, riding, and riding together.
I'm pooped.
You're a little tired, huh?
Yeah, we did 30 miles today. You know, I always say that I don't like road riding anymore. Mm-hmm. But you put together a fun
Today was intended to get just some more miles in, some more time in the saddle. So this was a mixed terrain ride, but much more road focused.
Very road focused.
Yeah, and with some good climbs because I wanted to put some climbing into your legs.
Oh my gosh, that one climb in the Upton State Forest that you said, oh, my Garmin says, it's one of the rare times we've gone out and I didn't have the route. So I really just was like, I know we're doing 30 miles. I'm just going to follow him around. And
32.
you said, oh, the Garmin says there's a climb. And we turned and just up of not dirt road, like rocky road, rocky dirtness in the middle. And then we passed two mountain bikers who were standing there at the top. I couldn't even, I kind of smiled at them, but by the time we were deep into the climb, and I was like, it's either keep going or stop and say hello. I cannot do both things because it was a pretty big climb.
I wouldn't have guessed you were tired of that. I mean, it was, only 30, and I know you've been doing more mountain biking, so you haven't been doing a lot of miles, I guess.
No, I haven't.
But you were riding strong, and you took the QM on that climb, by the way.
Over a minute.
Yeah.
No, it was really good. It was a day that I thought, it's not that I don't like road riding. I do like road riding. I like road riding on nice, open, wide roads.
Not open. Like we spent a lot of time on quiet, tree-lined,
that's what I meant.
Canopy covered. Yes, very, very little traffic. We barely saw any cars out there today.
I like that kind of road riding.
Yeah, that was good road riding.
That was good road riding. And we did that today because we are going to, where are we going? What's our next group ride?
We are going to the D2R2, which is the Deerfield Dirt Road Randonnée. Right, and that is something that's been on our list forever. And for whatever reason, that's like the third week in August, we have always seemed to have something.
Yeah,
it was traditionally a vacation week that we went away. Then it was getting kids off to college and all that kind of stuff. So this is the first year we have said, we're going to get this in.
We're doing it. Benefits the Franklin Land Trust. We are signed up for the 100K, so a little nervous. The 30 miles kicked my patootie because.
And the 100K, this is supposedly the classic.
This
is the classic route that I guess started it all, maybe. But.
Yeah, and there's a big group. We just got pulled into a big group email chain, and somebody even put together. I do like a good spreadsheet, a spreadsheet with who is coming, what team they're on, what distance they're planning.
Yep.
And
they're camping, I think, right?
Yeah, so we're camping Friday night. Apparently, it's a big festival. We do have to decide tonight if our daughter, who's going to be with us, wants to do the 40-miler because today is the cutoff to sign up.
Okay.
For that.
So our friend Lewis, who's also going, I think he's going this year. He had told me that this is one of the best days in the saddle that there is of the year.
That's exciting.
Right?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm, as I said, a little nervous because I'm very tired from today. But it's actually the perfect lead-in to today's show. Last week we had our friend Jeff on as you and he shared your experiences doing the Rift, but he was really here to for an interview about how he started cycling. And as you say at the beginning of it, he really epitomizes for you
cycling together
because he rides, does lots and lots of things.
He is the glue that binds so many of us together to ride together.
So a couple of things as we lead into it. There's definitely a little bit of what I'll call inside baseball or local name dropping. So some familiar names for those of us in New England. And there are a couple of times during the interview where Miss Daisy made herself known.
Barks.
Just a few barks. But anyway, enjoy this interview and we will be back. All right, we are here with our friend Jeff Diefenbach, friend, teammate, competitor, Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So we are here to learn about how you started cycling. I'm loving this segment because there's so many people we've met through bikes and that we have zero idea how they got into it.
This, the show is called Cycling Together. And Jeff, you are just basically the embodiment of cycling together. You are the reason why so many of us get out there on our bikes, get up in the morning early, get together for coffee and bikes. You are the linchpin in many cases for a lot of these groups. And so
Good job.
Cycling Together is just, you are the perfect guest for this. Yeah.
Great. Well, normally I think that
No
together gets worse every extra person you add. So 2 people is a great conversation.
Right.
A third, less, and so on down
All
the
right.
line.
I'll see you later then.
Present company accepted.
Oh, of course. Thank you. We're just one anyway. So let's start with the simple one, which is what we try to ask is not necessarily when you started riding bikes, because I think everybody goes back to when I was 4, but when did you, I guess, start making a conscious decision to ride bikes?
So it started with a girl.
Okay.
Oh.
2007, I was at a new job. A colleague of mine, a peer, so we both reported to the same person, is a triathlete. And it was maybe a year after that she said, do you want to go do a bike ride when you're out in Colorado? So I was working remotely from Boston for a Denver-based company, and I'd be out there maybe once a month or so. And I said, sure, let's do it. And I was picturing a group ride like what you do group rides here. And then a week before, she said, it's actually really a race. Is that okay? There's a citizen category, which is kind of like
Yes.
Cat 5. So you can just do a one-day license and you can do this race. And I said, sure. Do I have to really race? Because I don't know how to do that.
Is it a road race or mountain bike or
Road race.
road race? Okay. Yes. Yep. That makes sense. The citizens category.
Yeah. So I said, sure, I'll do it. I guess I can rent a bike out there. And it went from there. And a week later, after I think having driven cross country with my manager, so he was in Vermont, met in Springfield, hopped in his Prius with his dog and a bunch of antiques, and drove, I think in 3 days, to Cheyenne, Wyoming, where my friend Holly picked us up.
Okay.
And drove us down to Denver and then out to the start line in Idaho Springs. This is at the base of the Mount Evans hill climb, which starts at about 7,500 feet and goes uphill to about 14,200.
This was your first.
Really first serious bike ride.
What? Wow. And wait, did you bring a bike with you? On
I
this trip?
rented.
You rented out
rented.
there.
Yep.
Okay.
Had you been riding it home?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I think maybe we had gotten road bikes, but was super new to it.
And did you have equipment?
Yeah.
Second gear, helmet, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I had that stuff. I don't quite. So it must have been timed with having stuff at home. I had this nice Serrata. They Wheat Ridge Cyclery in Denver Highlands rented it to me, despite my not being a dentist.
Okay.
And it had a triple chainring, which I thought was just cool. Right, more gears has got to be better. And so as I'm riding, the profile of this ride, it's flatter for the first half and then steeper for the second half. And the steeper part is when the elevation really gets up there. And so I was saving the third chainring, the little one. Mm-hmm. When things really got bad, I was going to drop into that.
Okay.
And things really got bad, probably around 12,000 feet. I shifted, and I was already in it.
Oh, no.
So that was my racing career. I think I finished in 3 hours, 45 minutes, way down in the field. I did not threaten the podium.
Okay.
And I got hooked.
You got hooked.
Yep.
So your cycling started with a race,
Yep.
essentially.
Yeah. I think we had maybe gotten new road bikes at home, but just Charles River Wheelers kinds of rides.
Okay. I mean, which is still, yeah. All right. So you came home from that and you had been bitten.
Yep.
Of racing or riding?
I guess serious riding. I think, Steve, I heard you say you have to make a decision about whether you're truly racing or just doing a hard effort. And things like the riff that we just did,
Yes.
you really aren't, for most part, racing for the podium, right?
Right. Yep.
I'm just out there to enjoy it and push myself, but I don't
Yeah.
need to worry about, I could maybe be going harder now, and that might get me 5 minutes ahead or 10 minutes ahead or ahead of some number of people.
Right. There's a nice camaraderie to the two teams, but I feel like 545 whenever I see that kit. Like, first of all, there's a lot of you around. I probably don't know most of them, but I always feel like I do. I'm like, 545. I have no idea who that is. But is that one of the reasons, like, that you wanted to join a team?
So up at
Or
that
had
point,
you not know you wanted to join a team until Larry asked?
I hadn't really thought about it, but I was racing in my McGregor's kit. So we start to get into the subtleties between a club and a team.
Yes.
And the McGregors are a club. So it's a group of people who ride together, but don't race, although nothing would prevent you from racing in the club kit.
Yep.
And so that was fine. I felt like I had an affiliation. There were other people who raced in the McGregor's kit. We didn't really act like a team within the race environment because we were a community that was beyond that.
Well, how did McGregor's even form? Like, how did that come about?
So the founding of all of this is the Crack of Dawn Riders,
Okay.
COD.
Okay.
They were formed in 1992 as a means to do training for PMC.
Oh, okay.
And the idea was we're all people who work, not me. I wasn't part of this
Yes.
at that time frame. We work and we need to get our rides in. And the best time to do it is in the morning, before work, before the day gets out of hand.
Right.
So we'll set a start time of 5:45 a.m. You can probably see where the 545 Velo team name came from. The motto of Crack of Dawn was be there or ride alone. If you showed up at 5:46, the group was gone.
Okay.
Very
Yep.
punctual, in the way that road riders particularly are, much more so, I think, than dirt riders.
Oh,
You're right.
yes, absolutely. That is a
Mountain bikers
culture
are a
of
little more ish,
of
a little
road
more
riders.
ish, 545
And so COD rides from Newton City Hall
Okay.
at 5:45, and they had Monday, Wednesday, Friday from Newton City Hall, from Cutler Park, Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
That was just a difficult place for people farther west to get to. And so the McGregors formed, centered in Weston, for people in the Sudbury, Weston, Wellesley, Wayland area.
So Crack of Dawn riders
branched out.
branched out to McGregor's.
That's right.
Okay.
Effectively equivalent, though. Both clubs, both reasonably large.
Yep.
Different personalities based on who's there.
Okay.
And so that was how the McGregors, and I joined them because I was in Wayland, so they were much more convenient for me than going all the way into Newton.
Okay.
And when Larry said, "Are you interested in joining?" he probably didn't finish his sentence before I said yes. Actually, after I said, "Wait a second, I don't know how this works, and I'm not really one of you. I'm a pretender racer."
Yes.
But again, it's about, are you interested in racing and taking racing seriously, even
Yeah.
if you don't take racing quickly?
Okay. Look pro, go slow.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
one of our mottos.
You love that motto.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
do. I think it's great. And you still run like weekly rides. You have your socials that you run out of Wellesley, right?
So there was a large group out of Wellesley that's also started at 5:45, and this was many of the clubs in the area came together in Wellesley at Pete's Coffee
On Friday morning.
On Friday morning. There usually was the same ride within the clubs during the week, but on Friday morning was the big social, and all the clubs are together. And I used to join those rides. That's when I sort of got involved and started getting into these different clubs.
Right.
I've never part of the McGregors or the COD. That's when the Blue Ginger Club sort of formed from that.
Oh, that's right. That was another club.
And that's where I met most of these guys, is through that. And then COVID just killed that.
Well, and Pete's Coffee got
hold.
sold to
A
Chase.
bank.
Well, I think it was Bob Jenny who started the Dirty Social, which was the off-road version, or
Okay.
not so much version, but same start time, same start location,
Right.
same end time and location. So it had all of the social benefits before and after,
Right.
but off-road for people who just had more fondness for dirt. And Bob would organize those rides, and I would sometimes call it if he didn't, and just more and more it became my calling those rides. So we might do a Tuesday ride on dirt in Weston, coincident with the Tuesday, Thursday McGregor's ride,
Yep.
a Friday Dirty Social, coincident with the social rides out of Wellesley Center. Wednesday, I might go and do the Western Greenway, which starts at the same place that the Hills ride in Belmont and Arlington starts. So I just basically made a companion dirt ride to all of the more organized pavement rides,
Right.
because that was my preference, and it meant that you got the advantages of the bigger group and the social aspects of that, but I didn't have to ride on the road.
Well, you can hear that Jeff is a morning person.
Jeff is, well, I hear two things. Jeff is a morning person and Jeff is a social person.
A very
do you think
social
most
person.
of your rides are with some group? Like, how often do you just ride by yourself?
Probably mostly when Larry says he's in and then doesn't show up.
That jives. Yeah.
Okay, so not intentionally.
Not intentionally. I would say the vast majority are with at least a couple of other people.
Okay. And why do you just prefer that, or you don't like riding by yourself?
It's a good question. Yeah, I think I like the social aspect. I'm an introvert, but on the
Okay.
ride, particularly on dirt, you're not necessarily that close to people, so you don't have to talk to them, but you think of things to say, and then at coffee afterwards, you can have a conversation for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you're off to work.
Oh, that's so smart, right? Because yeah, you immediately have something to talk about, but you also have something keeping you busy. You have a set amount of time afterwards that you have to socialize. You want to, and then you head home.
Yep.
You might have cracked the code there.
And
my friend.
I just love, and I have not made enough, but I love the dirty socials that you have on Fridays. I guess I stopped really road riding, a few years ago. And I loved
Yes.
the fast paced hammering road ride that we used to have. But now I just prefer the off road, more social, casual ride and coffee after. It's
Well,
great.
do you think that, because I know you've often said, Steve, that there is a trust factor to a fast road ride of the group, that the group has to have a certain chemistry.
It does.
So you don't hurt yourself, so
Yeah,
you don't
you-
break bikes, so you don't. Do you find you need the same kind of trust in a
You don't.
dirty
No, and
social?
actually, as you say that, towards the latter part of the road rides that I would do, there were a lot of new people, and I was finding myself more and more nervous in some of these pace lines of people not holding the same lines. It's such a subtle, nuanced thing, and I don't even know how to explain it, but there were certain groups you'd go out with, and it was just, you could be inches off their wheel, and everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden, new people, and you'd be out in these groups, and there was something off. You could just tell you were a little more nervous. There was, because people weren't holding the same lines. People were coming up on your side when they shouldn't be, and I think that's sort of the waning part of my road riding.
The way I think of it is those kinds of road rides with people you know well, it's like a school of fish, and they just flow together.
Yeah.
And now you introduce a second school of fish, the new people, or maybe even on those Fridays where it might be Blue Ginger and McGregor's and Crack of Dawn and 545 Velo and 3 or 4 other groups. And the chemistries were just enough off that the fish didn't know how to follow each other.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
What would you say is some of the keys to getting people to cycle together? I like the idea of riding with people, but more times than not, I end up riding by myself. It just feels easier.
I think the magic is having a list of many tens of people
Many
and only
tens.
needing 4 or 5 to show up, and it feels like a group.
I want to step back a bit because I think we just went from, I did a ride out west and then suddenly I was racing 400 races. So you did the road race, you came back, you were riding at the time. How did you first find McGregor's? You mentioned a name, but how did you find those people?
I think that was through Bob Jenny, and I don't remember
How do you
how
know
I'd met
Bob?
him.
Okay. Someone's going to have to call Bob.
Someone's going to have to call Bob. Oh, Bob won't remember because he's had 9 TBIs, so that's not going to happen either.
I don't remember how exactly I met Bob either.
Yeah.
He just appeared.
I mean, I certainly appreciate what you say about my being a connector, and I think I am, but Bob is also that in a really powerful way. I think in part because he's been riding bikes professionally as a BMXer for a long time. His network is bigger by virtue of both time and number of disciplines.
Right.
But I think once you get into the off-road and what I'll call the not super technical mountain bike crowd. So there's a group based out of Weston that rides fairly technical mountain biking, more technical than I want to do. Okay. Hitting all the features in Needham Town Forest, for instance, is just more dangerous than what I want to do for my skill set. And so we've got this tamer group of mountain bikers, and we will alternate between, not quite alternating, between gravel rides and mountain bike rides. Sometimes there'll be people on both types of bikes on them because it's under biking on a gravel bike. It's a little bit tame on a mountain bike, but nobody's out there trying to rip their legs off. They may hit a particular feature hard. They may do a particular climb hard, but then there's a regrouping and then we continue on. Right. And it's something of a sweet spot between the fast road ride and the really technical mountain bike ride. And that in between, I guess I like to say I'm mediocre at both types, technology or the technical riding and the road riding. And this happy medium, I'm reasonably better, relatively speaking, in that middle ground.
Okay.
Which is a perfect morning ride.
Yeah.
And it surprises me, you don't even live in Wellesley, haven't lived there, and yet you have created many, many great courses stringing together the dirt that exists there, which is a lot of great stuff.
And what's amazing about both Wellesley and Weston, there is so much dirt. And you'd think of these as developed suburban towns.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some conservation land, but it's much more than that. And if you extend beyond those towns into Newton, there's a fair bit. You can get out into Sudbury, down into Dover and Sherburne. And I one time linked together a lot of that into maybe a 65-mile ride, hitting all of that terrain. There's so much of it here. Now, it's almost all connected by roads. It's not like going out to unbound gravel in Kansas where you ride for hours and hours and hours and you never hit pavement. Right. Here, it's maybe 50-50 pavement and dirt. You spend more time on the dirt because it's a bit slower, but you're always making connections onto pavement. And so you can re-knit these loops together in an infinite number of ways.
How did you make the jump from road to, was it cyclocross next?
Cyclocross first, and that was through John McNeil's practices.
Okay.
Bates Elementary School in Wellesley was the very first one I went to at some point in 2012. Okay. And then started signing up for some races, I guess 2 that year. I think I did 9 the following year, 2013. So you
hadn't ridden on dirt or anything before that?
I had a mountain bike, but not a ton. Not a ton. It was not a bicycle-shaped object. It was a specialized. I think it was a
It was an actual mountain bike.
Yeah. It was either the Hard Rock or the Rock Hopper. I forget which one.
Yeah, either one. It's
but
legit.
So, but just messing around places like Framingham, Callahan State Park was the place that I rode that most, and just slowly shifted. 2015 was my big pivot year where I went from much more road to much more dirt. That was the year that I did Leadville, and so all the preparation for Leadville was all on dirt, and really just didn't look back after that. At that point, I was probably racing 15 to 20 cyclocross races a year.
And 2015, I started 2014, and then 2015 was my biggest year of cross racing, I think.
Well, you also participate in a lot of big events like that, like Leadville, and so how do you even decide that you want to do those? Because I mean, Steve has really never expressed that much interest in going out to these big races.
I think it's a small step to, I ride locally, to, there's a ride called Mixtape or Pavement Ends or D2R2 or any of the races that are easy driving distance. You don't even have to stay overnight.
Yeah.
But they tend to be big events, right? You've got hundreds of people sometimes, a real festival feel at the beginning and the end. And then it's just, I've heard of these bigger events. They may or may not be bigger, but they are elsewhere. So whether it's Colorado or Kansas or, Arkansas, any of the places that these name marquee events are, it's like, I know how to do the event. Now I just have to add the getting there, which you talked about recently in how do you get a bike to a place that isn't in your car.
But those big events, it's a lot of logistics. It's time off. It's a lot more money just to go and essentially ride your bike for a day in many cases,
Yep.
right?
So-
So there is a leap there mentally to...
I think that leap is one that you've just experienced, which is when your children leap off to school or whatever's next for them, all of a sudden, maybe going to college doesn't free up funding, but it certainly frees up time.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a van.
And I have a camper van, right? So I can do, certainly within New England, avoid a hotel cost. Often it's just a campground cost. Some of the events you can stay for free at the event. And I've done farther afield. I've driven it out to Colorado. I've driven it to Kansas. It's a lot of time. It's not a cheap endeavor, but I would say, relatively speaking, it's like our friends in Iceland. It's not like owning horses.
Right.
Do you like or participated in those group rides where it's okay at 2:00 the intermediate group of some disciplines going out, and or at 3:00 this group is going out? Do you do any of those or like those, or is it more? It almost seems like the bus tour version of cycling in many ways.
I think about Nembafest, for instance, was a lot like that. We were camping up in Vermont, and it might be our group of 10, 15 people, but there are some set times. The Turkey Afterburner in Hale is another example of that, where
Yes.
there's the beginner ride, the intermediate ride, the advanced ride. Some of them are longer in time, some of them are more technical. And so you don't have to be an organizer to make that work. And maybe that's what I like about a lot of the big events is I don't have to organize anything. I don't have to rally the people. It's a chance to follow someone else's route.
Yep. Now you mentioned Betsy, and she rides.
She rides.
Did she always ride, or did she start riding when
Because of you.
met?
It was embarrassing. When we met, she had one bicycle.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, just one.
Just one.
And you still kept her.
I still kept her.
That's so great.
Well, because she kept that bike.
Oh, was it an acceptable bike?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
It probably was once. So she's into it. She has crewed for me at Leadville. She crewed for me at Unbound. We'll do a lot of riding together. We're different speeds, which is totally fine. We were in Portugal back at the end of March with a group of, I think, a dozen of us, most of whom were pretty serious riders. She got an e-bike, and it just worked perfectly.
That's awesome.
I mean, she dropped me a lot, but it was good.
Yeah. So it worked perfectly. That sounds perfect. Okay. So how many bikes does she have now?
Let's see. So she's got the original mountain bike.
Okay.
I don't know if we've found a saddle for it yet. That was one of its defining features, is not having a saddle on it.
Oh, comfy.
In fact, that whatever my first specialized mountain bike was, she has that.
Okay.
She has a gravel bike, an old road bike, but I don't know the last time that's been out of the basement.
Yeah.
I used to run a folding bike company, and I gave her a folding bike, and she still has that, but she never rides that. So her primary bikes are the fat bike, maybe as a secondary bike, and her gravel bike is her primary.
Okay. I'm going to need you to take a step back.
Yes, I knew this was
On
coming.
the whole, I used to run a folding bike company. What? In the whole, in how you started cycling, that did not come up. So what? Tell me more.
So a friend of mine who I used to work with back in my consulting days at the time, it started a company helping broker arrangements between U.S. companies that needed parts and Chinese companies that could make parts
Okay.
in any discipline, typically industrial things.
Okay.
And he knew a guy in Waltham who was in the swag business. I'm sure I'm not characterizing the way he would, but merchandise that you might branded items,
Tchotchkes.
tchotchkes. But he had a big warehouse,
Okay.
and they had this idea of importing folding bikes,
Okay.
and they said we should get Jeff to do this because he'll do the sales and marketing part. And so the three of us came together. We had one guy who could get the bikes in the country.
Okay.
We had one guy who could keep the bikes in the country.
Okay.
And my job was to get the bikes back out of not the country, but the warehouse.
Okay.
And so we ponied up, I don't know, collectively maybe 40 grand and ordered a container of bikes, which I think was about 280 folding bikes.
Okay.
So the design was not ours. The design was some Chinese company. So we got to choose things like components and colors and that sort of thing, and the branding. So the company was called F-Bike.
Okay.
Our
Why?
tagline. So the F is for folding.
Okay. That's better than...
Okay. Got it.
we had several ads that we did for websites and that sort of thing, and it was, can't fit your bike in your apartment?
Okay.
Get an F bike.
Okay.
I think the tagline was something like F that, F bike.
Oh, all right.
And we sold about 1,200 over 4 years.
Okay.
About half through Amazon, and then the other half, people would find our website either naturally or they would search for it after they found us on Amazon and try to circumvent Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They would
yeah.
always say, we want to get it for less. We would basically split the Amazon commission with them.
Okay.
Oh.
And so that was just a cool way
And
to be in the bike industry.
I knew you had done this, but I really didn't. I've never really heard that full story.
What
so that's
year?
really
So
interesting.
in the grand scheme of road to cyclocross, like where did the folding bikes fall in?
That was 2012 to 2016.
Okay.
So roughly the same time that I started cyclocross and started making the transition from road to dirt.
Okay.
These bikes, it was an inexpensive bike. We sold it for $250. We landed it in the country for about $100.
Okay.
And it was aimed at commuters or college students, somebody
Yeah.
who needed a small bike, an inexpensive bike, and didn't have a lot of space.
Yeah. So why did you shut it down?
We either had to grow the business or shut it down. We got to this inflection point,
Yeah.
and we decided we just didn't have the time to invest more. We had a single model. We would have to go to multiple models.
Yep.
There was a company, I think, called Citizens Bike out of Miami that really had this space dialed, and we were competing with them. We tended to have the top reviews on Amazon
Okay.
if you sorted by review, just because our customer service was really good. It was good because I was customer service, and I didn't want to be treated like I was often treated by customer service. So
Right.
if somebody had a problem, we would fix it. We'd get them a new bike. We'd replace the parts.
Okay.
Give them a refund, whatever it took. And so the bike itself was nothing special, but I think people always felt like the company took care of them.
Yeah. Do you ever see them like around town? Like,
Used
do
to.
you know? Okay.
I would be surprised if many are still rolling.
Yeah, but because we're at 10 years and sure,
Got
or
it.
10
Now,
plus.
the two that we have still roll. I don't ride it anymore.
Right.
I have a different commuting bike for the city, but
Yeah. That's very cool.
yeah, the frame looks cool on the wall.
Right.
The frame actually looks much cooler than the full bike.
So moving forward, what's on your schedule? What are some of the rides you're looking forward to or
There's only one answer to this.
Oh, okay.
Because it's July. Cross is coming.
Cross.
Crosses come. We
Okay.
can't say that till August though.
No, they're
There are
already
races in
saying
August.
It. They're
Blood
already
Park.
saying
Oh,
it.
then never mind.
So
I
let's
guess
talk-
July's crosses coming.
See? Everybody loves cyclocross.
All right, let's talk about cross actually, because you and Larry you were talking on that endurance podcast about Boss Cross, which is one of the races that 545 organizes.
Yep.
And the host asked something about growing it, and Larry said, "For what purpose? There aren't enough racers, right? Like it's the proper size." Which then got into a conversation. I'm like, how do we get more people to start cycling or cycling together, whether that's cyclocross, I mean, specifically, or just in general? What would you say is the biggest barrier for people to cycling?
So cycling is cycling at a serious level
Yeah.
is just niche, and it's not inexpensive.
Yep.
And cyclocross takes the nicheness and squares it. And more so that everybody can picture you get on a bike and you ride on the road.
Yes.
Or you get on a mountain bike and you ride on trails. Or you pin a number on and you race.
Right.
Cyclocross is a little bit different because you're not always on the bike. And I think that throws people off. So it's got probably the most welcoming community of any cycling. The fast people will be perfectly fine having a great conversation with a beginner, right? So
Yes.
Alex's story about Helen Wyman is a perfect example of
Yes.
that. I was there at that race, and I saw the finish of Helen's race, which led to her cool down lap with Alex, who I didn't know at the time. I only met Alex later. But so cyclocross is as welcoming as you can be, but it's just weird. And so one of the things that you and I have talked about is running some clinics for people who've never raced cyclocross. And the time is right now because people have gravel bikes, and gravel bikes are
Yes.
perfect for getting into cross.
Yeah.
People with mountain bikes, they look a little bit different when they're in a cross race.
Yes.
And
Yes,
nobody
they
likes
do.
to look different, right?
And,
You wanna
and
look-
10 years ago, that's what you had to do.
Yep.
But you're right. Now most cyclists are getting into gravel.
Right. And so what I want to do is reach out to bike shops
Mm.
and say, tell me, hey, I want you to circulate amongst your customers who've bought gravel bikes that here are some clinics where you can learn the oddities. Mainly it's around getting off the bike and getting
Yeah.
on the bike in a somewhat graceful way. Because once you learn how to do that, then it's just riding a bike. And
Yes.
it's easier than mountain biking. It's not as technical. It only takes 40 or 45 minutes. It's not like
Yeah.
a long road race.
Right.
It's super accessible in that way. It's just getting that activation over the obstacle of
Right.
getting on and off the bike. There's a lot of other things like how do I sign up for a race and what category am I?
Yeah.
But I think that's all teachable. You can read about that. But
Right.
the
And
physical
that's
part.
where clinics, I think, are really important. I mean, I distinctly remember before my first cross race, and I had built this cross bike to do this, and it was, okay, how do I get on this bike in a moving fashion? And that first almost leap of faith onto the saddle while you're running with it was nerve-wracking.
Well, and I think even to step back a little bit, I think even just awareness that cyclocross is a thing is still like people
absolutely.
know people
We're gonna
know
say
we
cyclocross
ride
now, and people are not going to know what
right.
what it
like
is.
people know you rode and you ride and race bikes on the road, and they know you ride and race bikes on mountain bikes. And I will be with our mountain bike team, and I'll say something about when I raced cyclocross, and some will say, What now? What is that? Then I'm stuck in the finding the words to describe the niche insanity, which is, and I think you're absolutely right. Like we've had some conversations on Slack about, does it need to be a multi-day clinic? And I really think it just needs to be a couple of hours of, let's break down the basics. Now go forth and race, because the rest you just kind of gotta do. Right.
I think of it as, when I explain it, I just say it looks like a road bike, but it's got knobbier tires because you're going to ride on dirt.
Yeah.
And you're going to ride 4 or 5 laps in a park or at a school
Right.
on a course that's marked by tape and is super labyrinthian, and you're chasing people and people are chasing you.
Yep.
And that part would be really easy. Adding in the dismounting and mounting, and all of a sudden it's just one notch more, but people learn that quickly.
Yeah. And even the difference between now and when we were starting cyclocross is we have shorthand. It's a gravel bike, right?
Right.
We didn't even have that. So I do think there's a lot of potential between, say, the kids that are mountain biking and now might want to do something different. And they can ride on mountain bikes. In fact, when Sophie did the cyclocross national championship in Connecticut with all the snow, the 2 girls that came in ahead of her were riding mountain bikes. And we put our poor kid on a cross bike.
Because you're purists.
Because it didn't, I don't think it even occurred to us to put her
didn't. Well, and the
on a
conditions
mountain.
changed minute by minute there, and
Right.
she ended up riding in the snow, and that's
She's on,
why
like,
the mountain
her
bike was better.
focus with and then all the gravel people, right? All the gravel people who may not realize what this bike could participate in.
But the cross race for beginners is also, I think, as you talked about, the community is a little more welcoming, and it is not like a road race where if you are far behind, you were sort of out there on the road all by yourself, and finally you come in. And it's not like a mountain bike race where you were out in the middle of the woods and you're not quite sure maybe where to go, and if you're falling behind. Because the course is short and it's all within sight and everybody finishes behind the leader, there's just not a lot of pressure. It does not matter how you do. It really doesn't. You were still out there doing your own thing, and you can have a better time, I think.
That's certainly when I
Cross-racing.
feel the most like a bike racer, because I've got a number pinned on and there's somebody ahead of me that I want to catch. In a
Yes.
gravel ride, I'm not trying to catch somebody who's ahead of me. There's somebody behind me who's trying to catch me. And it's all
Yes.
about the dynamics of that handful of racers, and it changes over the course of the race. Maybe I pass a few people and now I'm battling a few others, but it is the most bike racy I ever feel. And yet it's not dangerous. People almost never get hurt beyond a scrape or a
Right,
bruise.
right.
You're just not moving fast enough. There's no cars around, no big descents or anything like that, no rocks or anything like that. So it is, I think, the easiest way to try to learn to race a bike. And then you can figure out if you like it.
Right. I was going to ask if you thought that was your most, like, that's where you flip the switch between racing and riding. Is
Absolutely.
it cyclocross, where, again, Unbound, you're riding,
Right.
but you're not necessarily racing.
I think about it more like a marathon. These longer endurance events, you're challenging yourself,
Yeah.
but you don't really care about beating that person. It's about maybe bettering your time from the time before.
Yep.
Some of these events, it's really hard. You may not do them many times, but hey, my average speed is going up at an event that's kind of
Like
that.
Leadville.
Like Leadville,
yes.
or anything like that. Where
Yeah.
I'm not even within an age group. I'm not racing for a podium, and practically speaking, only a few people are.
Right.
But and so I think of that as the way I think of an Ironman or a running race. But in cyclocross, you're really the difference between 41st and 42nd position in a race seems to matter in the moment.
Oh, absolutely. When you get into that race head of like, oh, there's just right there. There's somebody right there that I can get. I absolutely can see that.
And there's a good chance you know that person well, because we're racing against the same people
Yes.
week after week after week. So whether it's
Yep.
a teammate who I really want to beat or somebody who's on a different team who
Right.
I kind of want to beat, you're going to share the laughs over whoever won in the parking lot.
Now, one thing you do very, very well beyond all your racing is your storytelling, because you have a blog. Do we still call them that?
I do.
Okay. Can we tell the URL? Do you want to
Sure.
share it?
Deepbrook.com
Okay.
/portfolio.
Okay.
So that's Deep and Brook, which is the literal translation of Diefenbach, my last name.
I always wondered where
Yep.
the name came from. Okay. And
I learned something new again.
there you go.
My tagline for a long time was long rides, longer ride reports.
Okay.
I like to write, and I like to tell stories. I like to bring in media, so I shoot a lot of photography. I often will have a video camera running on the bike,
Yep.
and it makes just a great record of the event. So probably, with a few exceptions, it's my parents, maybe my kids taking a look at it. I'm probably the bigger audience than both of them, because I'm really doing it as a record of what I've done. I'll go back and read, for instance, the Mount Evans Hill Climb. I can go
Okay.
back and read about that event and be reminded of things that I would have never remembered on my
You are
own.
creating a very cool and interesting personal life journal.
Yeah, it's a diary or a journal.
diary.
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
And so that's just fun. And for bigger events, I may get a fair number of views because I share it more widely within. I'm not on algorithmic social media,
Okay.
but I'm on social media in the form of Slack and Discord.
Yep.
And that's where, kind of walled communities of
Yes.
cyclists, and we'll share race reports or photos or that sort of thing.
Yep.
Just love doing it. I like to think that I'm at least amusing more often than not.
So last week, everybody was talking about they were expecting a breakdown of each checkpoint on the Rift and where everybody was. And so that's sort of, I think they were joking, but that is sort of the expectation that a lot of people have of the detail that you can put into these things.
Well, because you'll also do, was Unbound the most recent thing you did before the Rift?
Yep.
So you had the trip out there, you had how you found your spot to camp, what you were camping with, the mistakes you made, which I will admit are usually my favorite parts of any ride report.
And useful.
Well, that's the other thing. If you are someone who is thinking of doing one of these rides, I imagine it would be quite useful to read.
Yeah.
Right?
Your point about others can learn from it is actually important, right? Chris Smith, our friend who did the Tour Divide last year and has video telling of that tale, that's for this year's rider or next year's rider. They find that, and that may save them. They'll make their own mistakes, but maybe they can not make some of the ones that Chris made.
They can make new mistakes.
Right.
Right?
When I video cyclocross races, those all get posted online.
Yeah.
So if somebody's saying, oh, I want to go race Blunt Park, but that's an hour and a half away, what's the course like?
Right.
A
There it
teammate
is.
they can just go and watch that video and go,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's just another way to, again, cycling together. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for hosting.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
and
wonderful.
I will try to make it out to one of the 5 front. I come out like once a year for one of your rides. I am not a morning person.
For one of the Dirty Social rides? Yes.
Yep.
This probably doesn't get posted before this coming Friday, 3 days from now, but
Okay.
5:45 from Pete's or Linden Starbucks in Wellesley.
We'll have to talk about it. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
I love a cacophony of clicks.
Yeah, it's a good term.
Yeah, it's a good term. I had a nice call with Jeff actually this week because we're scheming with some other riders to do some cyclocross clinics to get some kids and maybe some grown-ups into cyclocross. So
Yeah, we used to run clinics years and years ago
Yep.
when we were still racing, and we haven't done that in a while. But that'd be fun.
I think it'll be fun. I know actually a friend just said, "Oh, is Steve going to help?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Steve's helping. He may not know yet."
Apparently now I
Steve
know I'm
is-
helping.
Steve is definitely helping. And I had one of the girls asked me, "Well, what are you using for a cyclocross bike?" And I thought, "Well, I am not racing." I did have we sold my cyclocross bike a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We were going to hold on to it just for archival
Nostalgia.
reasons and nostalgia, but you have the same one, so we don't really need two. So we sold it. I will admit, I had a moment where I thought, "Oh, I sold my cyclocross bike."
We do have
Jeremy Powers.
We do have Jeremy Powers frame. Yes, that is your size.
Yeah, we'll
So-
talk about that. I can use my gravel bike,
Yeah,
but we did because it is in a far better place getting used by a teenager who is actually racing it. So I don't really have regrets. I don't really need my cyclocross bike, but I did have a moment when she asked where I went, "Oh, that's right." Well, we do things before we wrap up. One is a road riding etiquette question. And as I can't be the only rider that this happens to, I do feel like I get a lot of questions from drivers about road etiquette because, I speak for the cyclist. And the question I got recently was from one of my coworkers. She was telling me that she was driving on a fairly busy street, on the main street, on her way to work. I don't actually know that. When two cyclists came off of a side street and without looking, without pausing, without anything, flung themselves into traffic.
Yep, made the right turn.
Just took a right turn. Just
into the
whoop,
shoulder,
whoop,
but
whoop.
without any regard for the cars.
I'm going to assume into
coming
the
on.
shoulder, but I actually don't even know how wide the shoulder was. And her question to me was that appropriate? Was that what they should have done? And my answer was
No.
absolutely
No.
not.
Now, all of us cyclists are drivers as well, and so many times the cyclists have to defend ourselves and our riding and our safety out there against the drivers.
Yes.
And this is the time where Kristin and I are sort of taking the side of the drivers here, that kind of turn in from the road into another road, a right-hand turn,
Yep.
without any looking whatsoever, especially. That's usually what happens. No regard for the cars that are just going along.
Yep.
You really, really scare those drivers, and you make them not like cyclists. This is a big part of why so many drivers complain about cyclists and do not like cyclists.
Yeah.
And that just makes it more dangerous for all of us.
It really does. We talk about this a lot, that your behavior as a cyclist rarely impacts you. It's the next cyclist that driver
Encounters.
We talk about one of our things in particular is if we're approaching a light and let's say there's 2 or 3 cars, the light is red, there's 2 or 3 cars, we'll hold back. We won't pull up next to that first car because they're just going to have to keep
Passing us again.
passing us, and that is just so frustrating for the driver. which again may impact us, but more likely it's going to impact the next one. Yeah, this one, because I think partially what happens is the rider just assumes, well, there's a shoulder and I'm going to go onto the shoulder. But of course, the driver doesn't really know what you're going to do, right?
There's no idea what you're going to do.
And maybe there was a gap. It probably wasn't big enough.
No, but I've seen cyclists pull right into the street, make that right turn right next to a car.
Yes.
A car that's passing by at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They basically, had they swung a little wide, the car would have hit them.
Yep.
And they were still not even looking left.
Yeah, it is one of my pet peeves. It is something that I will say I've talked to when I've gone on group rides and this happens, I have now become that mouthy cyclist who's like, hey guys, could we please
Years and years ago, I actually wrote to the Charles River Wheelers, I believe it was, a whole thing about this, and they published that.
They did?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to have to find... it's a big one, and it's just an easy one. Now, I will say, I think one thing that cyclists could do better in those scenarios, too, is to take over the lane. So come up to that intersection, be two abreast, because the other thing that can happen is that drivers continue to come up to the intersection also, and they're trying to go left and you're trying to go right. Nobody can see the clearance. Mm-hmm. So I do think that riders should more often take the lane than they probably do. That's a comfort thing. That takes time to really get comfortable with taking over a lane. Mm-hmm. But in this one, what I said to my coworker was that absolutely...
and just time it right. Look for those cars and just pause as you're coming up to the stop. You don't have to unclick. You don't have to stop.
And put your foot down, but you have to be prepared to.
Just plan your entry in the break between cars.
Yep. I think when I put this in the video, I'll probably steal. PMC did a nice job with their safety video of videoing me and Jarrett doing just this, coming up to an intersection, stopping, looking, going. And I just think that needs to be established as much as possible. We are our own worst enemy in a scenario like this. We as cyclists are our own worst enemy. Mm-hmm. So cut it out. Quit it. Okay. And then we had a scene while scrolling.
All right. What'd you see?
Well, the conversation continues on the 32-inch mountain bike wheels. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so much talking about that. What I want to talk about is the UCI.
Okay.
Right. So we've mentioned the UCI before. They are
the governing body of cycling.
Okay.
And international, worldwide governing body of cycling.
And they regulate all the major races.
Yes.
Okay.
Equipment, races, clothing,
right.
Just basically everything that professional cyclists in UCI registered races can use.
Right. And you've talked about in the past how they want to make sure that the bikes that the racers are riding are available to the average consumer, that someone can buy the bike. So
that's a requirement.
Get really weird.
Yep. It has to be available to buy within, I think it's 6 months, but...
Okay. So UCI is considering banning 32-inch mountain bike wheels.
Mm-hmm. I think this is, again, it's going to be controversial. I think this is a good idea for now.
Yes.
I would prefer to see 32-inch wheels, if they're going to break through on the scene, be used in other non-professional races first.
Okay.
Before we start having this wheel war within the professional ranks.
They can always unban a thing.
Correct.
They've banned, mm-hmm. They may temporarily ban it.
Yep.
Does it matter if UCI bans something like 32-inch wheels?
Does it matter to the consumer?
Yeah.
I guess, does it matter to all of us?
Yeah. What's the impact of that? I guess maybe what's that impact for you as a bike shop when UCI bans something like that?
Sometimes if the UCI bans certain items, then that is not going to make its way to the consumer. The consumer's not going to see on the professional cyclists that they adore, that they want to emulate, so they're not going to ride it. It's not going to make it to the market because the companies are not going to put any extra effort into it.
Right.
Right. So if the UCI bans 32-inch wheels, that might kill it. it also might then just show up in more non-UCI professional type races.
Yep.
Leadville is not a UCI race.
Right.
And so it might show up in other places, and then a UCI could always unban something. But it really can, it can dissuade a product from making it to market.
I mean, it may just slow it down, might be one of the benefits, so
Right.
that everyone can get a grip on what's happening with these wheels and if they're worth manufacturing. Do you
Right.
have people who come in because they see somebody riding, like, let's say, Kate Courtney, who just won the Leadville 100, crushing the course record by, what,
10 minutes.
10 minutes on her BC 40. Interestingly, there were all these articles about how everybody was basically doing hardtail mountain bikes with drop bars.
Yeah.
Right. And this was going to be the new thing at Leadville. And
Well, it
she
is the new
wins-
thing at Leadville.
Yeah, but
Yep.
she wins
On a
on her standard
standard-
BC 40 setup.
Yep, full suspension, Allied BC 40. No Frankenstein bike.
Do you think people see something like that and think, oh, maybe I should look at that bike?
Oh, absolutely.
Do they?
Oh, millions of bikes are sold this way.
Okay.
Yes, from the professionals winning on these bikes and people then wanting those bikes.
Okay.
I mean, that is why so many of the professional cycling teams are based around a bike brand.
Mm-hmm.
They are not, they're either the secondary sponsor or the title sponsor in some cases.
And they're on bikes that you could go into a shop and buy.
Right.
Like, I mean, you can buy the team issue Spark. You can buy the...
Yes. Yep.
So,
Yep. There are certain cases where that a professional might be on a very, very unique bike, and even though it has to be made available to the public, it's one of those things that it could be either cost prohibitive or time prohibitive. Like, we 3D printed these titanium lugs for that professional, and we can make you one, but it's going to take 18 months, and it's going to be $20,000 type of thing.
$20,000.
That is a rarity.
Yeah.
Because most of these companies want their bikes to be available to sell.
I mean,
So.
it's just marketing, right? It's just that's where the sponsorships are, why they're sponsoring athletes, why they're sponsoring it, so they can see the equipment in action.
And they get feedback from the athlete, so they develop products in collaboration with the athlete.
Yep.
And then they also get that exposure, and then they're hoping that their athletes win on their bikes because then people want the bikes.
Right.
Yep. And the tires, people want that. Oh, what? Like, people will say, what tires was Kate Courtney using?
Okay.
And then go buy that tire. So whatever, and I haven't looked yet, but whatever tires she was using, they are going to sell more tires next month.
You know what? I'll admit, seeing her across the line, watching some of I thought, that's my bike.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
isn't that cool?
It is cool.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's good. I did think, oh, maybe I need a sit fork, but that's you do. But I'll admit, you think, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm riding the same bike. I'm not riding the same way. But it's exciting. It's cool. I'll admit it. So congratulations, Kate. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Cycling Together. Next time we are on, we will have hopefully survived. I will hopefully have survived D2 R2. That you'll have dragged me across the finish line.
It should be a great day.
You'll be enjoying a nice leisurely pace. All right, let's wrap this up. Cycling Together with Kristin and Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing.
If you like the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. And for show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, visit cyclingtogether.bike.
Yes, and can I reinforce that one? If you are listening to this show or watching it, reviews would be really helpful.
Yes, please give us a review.
In particular, I will say most of our listeners are on, I'm going to call it iTunes because I'm an old lady that's been podcasting.
I know, but now it's just Apple Podcasts.
It's just Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever your favorite app is. You can also find the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Steve the Bike Guy.
Okay. Then we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining the ride.
Bye.
You lost me there for a second. Hold on.
The racing versus riding. So you were starting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you go.
Okay. So,
We're professionals.
yeah, right? There we go.
I imagine that every podcast is like this.